Sean Strickland deserves a round of applause after earning a main event victory over Nassourdine Imavov in Saturday's UFC Fight Night 217 headliner. This has got to be pretty impressive stuff from Strickland here. The fact that he stepped in on just 5 days' notice, a headlining fight, wasn't really training too much, of course, for a fight, and then he goes in there and is able to go a full 25 minutes at a pretty decent clip, put on a pretty good output in there, kind of step forward from what we've seen in some of his recent fights, which have been a little more slow-paced than this one, and defeat a streaking fighter like Imavov. You got to give him his props for that. Where does this really put him? It's hard to say. Of course, a huge one for him after suffering back-to-back losses. He did not want to lose 3 straight. He had never lost 3 straight coming into this fight and was able to keep that going here with the victory that I think, if anything, even though it did not take place officially in the middleweight division, 2 middleweights fighting at light heavyweight because of the short notice, I think it still puts him back in the mix at 185 pounds and lines him up for some potential big fights down the road here. Strickland said himself he should probably take some time off after taking some, in his words, quote, brain damage, unquote, in this fight. I think that's probably a good idea, doing 2 headlining fights, 25 minutes in the course of a month. A lot to put on the body, and I think a rightful break deserved. Maybe we see him back in the late spring, early summer. At that point, some middleweight fights will have played out. I think for him, though, one big one to maybe keep an eye on is Robert Whittaker. He, of course, is at the top of this division, but we do not have a clear opponent for him right now. Of course, the UFC was trying to set up that fight against Paulo Costa. Costa unavailable, seemingly in a contract dispute with the UFC. If he re-signs, I'm sure they'll try to put that fight back together. But if not, I think Strickland could be a big candidate there. He's one of the top names who has yet to fight Whittaker there. He'd be more than willing to do it, and I think that would be an interesting matchup, at least to see how it would play out. If not, something a little more in Strickland's range would probably be the winner of the UFC 285 fight between Derek Brunson and Dricus du Plessis. I think that would be an interesting matchup to do as well, and I think logical for this weight class. So right now, I think you're Strickland. You sit back, enjoy this win. He said he got a nice big bag from the UFC to take this fight on short notice, and I think you kind of just push forward, see how some of these fights play out at 185 pounds, and see if you get a call for a big one as well. But either way, Strickland kind of has the main event headlining cachet at this point, at least on the fight night level, and I think that's going to make him very useful for this division going forward.